Hi everybody, John Mather here from Carasius Productions, and welcome to the first video tutorial on using a new plugin by Chris over at Pizzazz WP. It's his new plugin called Architect, and what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how we can create this features section, service section, whatever you like to call it, with the three columns and three different posts with images, thumbnails, titles and everything like that, and how we can link it all in and style it. Right, so today we're going to be working with Headway Themes. However, this plugin is unique that it can work in almost any theme. I'm yet to find a theme I can't work it in, but they may exist. So this may or may not work with your theme, but if not, contact Chris on support and he should be able to help you and work out what's going on. But let's dig into the back end and let's have a look at what we are about to do. So as I said, I am building on Headway Themes. So my current theme installed I'm using is Headway. I've just no child theme, just using the base. And I have also added in three posts. If we go into the posts, they are all the same bar the image. So each one has been assigned to services category, and each one has a different image. So once again, services, different image. Alright, so we have our three posts already created and raring to go. Alright, so I'm just going to jump into back into Headway's visual editor. I'm going to go back into my grid wizard. I'm going to choose a preset, and I'm just going to choose a standard one which loads that with the content block. So if we just refresh this, you can see it's just showing the basic content because we are working on the blog index. I haven't set up any pages or anything like that, so if you want to know more about that, head on over to headwaythemes.com. Okay, so let's jump back into the back end. We will go into Architect and we will create so we've got my first design which I showed you on the front end, so I'm just going to move that over to the trash and we're going to start from scratch. So let's add a new blank blueprint. Alright, so here is our architect. Here is the blueprint. So we're going to give this a name. So we're going to give this our services posts. We'll give it a short name, which is where because it's class and it also ties this in with shortcodes. So we'll step through our different stages here, 1, 2 to 5. And we'll start with our design. So we're not going to go with any sliders or tab modes or anything like that. We just want grids and single posts. We do want to limit the posts. We're going to include 3 posts here. And when we're on the PC, we want 3 to be wide. When we're on a tablet, we only want it 2. And when we're on the mobile, we want it to be 1. So that'll be full responsive. We want it to be a fluid. We don't want to extend our panel height type. We want it to be fluid to just expand as it needs to fit in our content. We don't need any pagination, so let's go straight over to our selection here. So we're going to be displaying posts because if you remember earlier we created our posts. We're not going to do a specific post, instead we want to choose the category, which is why when we created our post we set it to display. We set it all to our services category. We want to display this by date, but we want to make it in ascending because I created it 1, 2, 3, and of course we want it to display because 3 was created last, so therefore date will display first. We actually want the first one to display, so we're going to create that ascending. We don't want to skip any posts, and this is where we go filters. So we want to include our category, our services. We don't have any child subcategories, so we can leave all that. We're not going to filter by authors or custom taxonomies. Now let's go over to our custom layout. So we want to have our title, we want an excerpt, we want our feature image, but we don't need any meta. data. We're going to have our image on top, then we'll have our title, and we'll have our content. We'll drag this over to our to be full width. Now at the moment this is in beta testing, so at the moment Architect is only letting me display this at 100%. I'm going to add some CSS code, which I think I already should have from the last time, which I'll show you when we get into the Headway's back end. And we'll drag out this post content as well. We want to keep it all in the group. We don't need to display anything outside. We don't want to have our excerpts on the left or our images on the left. So the rest we can leave default. We don't need to make it a header and a footer. Now we're going to go into our titles. We don't need to prefix it with any circles, squares, thumbnails, etc, etc. We do want our titles linked, however. In our body excerpt, I'm going to leave that as default for 55 words. So this is what's going to display at the end of those 55 words. I don't want those square brackets. I'm just happy with 3 dots. And I don't need any read more, so I'm going to delete that. With our responsiveness, we don't want to hide that. I'm not going to worry about responsive font sizes for this particular one. So here we're going to jump into our featured image. I'm just going to go over to our library where I will show you I've uploaded the 3 icons. We'll just click on any one and we can see they are 74 by 74. So we want to change our dimensions for our icons to be 74, and then we don't have to change anything. We want it to link to the post. In fact, I can turn that off, and I might have it so the image doesn't link to anything. That's all we need to create for designing our actual blueprint. So our layout is there. Let's click on publish and let's go in and see how this might look. So jumping back into our visual editor where we went into our grid wizard and we created our basic design. I'm just going to switch this block type and I'm going to change it to Architect. When we're in Architect, all we need to do here is choose our blueprint, which in this mode is our services post. Is that what I called it? Yes, services posts. And we'll click on save. Now we'll refresh our site once again and look at that. We have our posts all working. It's not exactly styled the way we might like it, but we have a very good start. Let's go back into our mode, and here we can enter in. So we'll edit this instance. I want to make this text aligned to the center. Hit save. Let's hit refresh on that and see and that's now centrally aligned. Now remember I was saying it's not 100% width, but in here it is actually showing across the full width, and that is because I've put in this text here. So I've made it do our excerpt and I've made it do our title to 100% width. So that way when I centrally align, it will actually centrally align. If I remove this by tagging it out, you can now see how that has displayed to be only 80% width, and we've got this 20% margin on the right. So that's how I'm overcoming that for this tutorial in regards to remembering Architect is in beta mode. By the time you are using this in refresh, I will update this video and I'll show you a new way we can do this with a live working version of Architect. I'm just going to go in and resave that, and I'm going to jump back into my blueprint here, which we still have open. I'm going to go into my content layout and click on my featured image, and I just want to check there's nothing to change in there, because remember the featured image is over on the left here. Let's go into our content styling. So in here we can change our styling just like we would in Visual Editor. We can change all the text. we can actually change it all in here as well. What I want to do is jump to our featured image and jump down there, and I'm hoping somewhere in here, I know there is a way to make it centrally aligned. Maybe it's in here. Here we go, center feature. So we click yes. Now we'll go on to update. Scroll down a bit just so I can get out of that blueprints guide. Click on update. And we'll just go over here and refresh this page. And there we have it. Our featured image is now centrally aligned. Okay, so let's edit this and let's give it a bit of margin on the bottom there. Let's say I want 10 pixels. That seems to work pretty fair. I'll edit this instance and I'll give it a margin of top, say 30 pixels. I might just increase that one to maybe, let's have a look at 30 there. And now I'm thinking 30 is too much. So I'm going to go 20 on that and edit this instance, and I'm going to change that to 20 as well. Much better. I'm much happier with that. Now what you might find is when you decide to create this blueprint and recreate this, if you're working along, you will find that you can't right click on these titles. That is another issue we have with currently with Architect. So that's part of the beta testing issue. But what it actually is that's a link. So if we scroll back up here and we go to our global styling and we click on our hyperlink, you can now see that that is selectable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this instance. I'm now going to click on this live CSS. That will give me my block ID. I'm now going to jump back up to my hyperlinks. I'm going to click on this to edit in live CSS. No, not my headings. I want my hyperlinks. Click on that and you can see there is my A. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go A for hyperlinks. So now anything I do in this CSS, we are only working in that. So the first thing I did if you click on back on my hyperlinks, you will see, if I go to my fonts, I have changed my underline to be no underline. I can also go in and set my A3, let's go A5, that's better in there. But what I want to do with this one, I want to go text transform and let's change it to uppercase, and now we have uppercase. I'm going to go letter spacing and I'm going to change that to 1 pixel. In fact, I might make it 3 pixels. Too much. 2 pixels. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to go back into my hyperlink because this is affecting globally all my hyperlinks, and I'm going to change that font family to a Google font called Open Sans. I don't want Open Sans, I want Open Sans Condensed. And we'll click on a tick there. And in this instance, I'm going to change this to fonts. I'm going to change this font family to Open Sans. Now what I'm also going to do is go back into here. I'm going to increase my font size. And I might make that 36 pixels. Maybe a little bit too big. Let's make it 24. 28. Oh, that's a reasonable size. I also want to go font weight, and I'm going to make that 700 to give it some nice bold. And now I'm going to change this. I don't like that letter spacing now. fact, I'm going to remove it completely. Because now that I've changed the font type, I didn't like that letter spacing. Let's go back into this one, and I might change my font color a little bit. To the A3. And there we have it. Let's click on save. Let's jump over to our main site. Let's hit on refresh. And there we have it. We have our services all set up and ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you followed along and found it useful. I can't wait to update it, and when Architect is out of beta testing, it is a very exciting block to be dealing with. So once again, chat to you on the forums. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.